I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, here to give you the quick tea on luxury makeup, but I have a lot to talk about, so prepare to sip slow, because today we are talking about the new Louboutin foundation, specifically in the shade 60W. Let me get this in a little bit closer so we can appreciate the beautiful packaging. This is my first time buying anything from the brand. I've been tempted before, but you know, I have to say their packaging generally, and this is just my opinion, always runs a fine line between luxury and gaudy. I almost bought a liquid eyeshadow from them once before, things like that, and they're not cheap. So, you know, it's definitely an investment if you're gonna purchase from Louboutin. But this foundation, yes, it was actually also perfect timing. You know, I ended this year emptying a couple of foundations. So, you know, I bought Prada recently. Now I'm buying this. I will at the end of the video give you my opinion between the two new, you know, foundations. But let's just, like I said, right now focus on this foundation. So the packaging. The glass bottle definitely gives luxe. The beveling of the glass bottle, luxe all the way. This cap is very Louboutin, like the golden studs and everything, and of course had to be red inside. Now, you know, in person this is like a fancy L, but the mirror image, it makes it look like a D, a cursive D, which, hello, Daphne. I was like, yes, a bottle with my initials. It might be technically supposed to be an L, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a D. So I was like, I have to get it. I have to get it. So, you know, with all my videos, I usually start off with, I will show you a pick of swatches, and I do. I have some forearm swatches to show you, and then I usually have a demo video showing application of the product, and I do. I have that as well. But I just want to prep you about this. So a lot of times when I'm doing it, you know, the videos a lot of times are first impression. This is not, and I do explain in the video, it isn't, the video that you're gonna see is not my first impression. It was the second time that I had used it. And it was probably for the best, to be honest. The first time that I applied it, it didn't go so well, actually. Not as well as I had assumed and hoped. So like that day when the bottle arrived, I had already done my makeup, but you know, I did the swatches on my arm and I thought, okay, doesn't look too bad, doesn't look too bad. You know, because it's not easy to pick the swatch color shade. We'll have a whole discussion about that. I do want to give a shout out to two beauty content creators. Their videos helped me pick out my shade. Vicky J and Sandra Mendez. Victoria James, she actually ended up picking the wrong shade, because we're like shade twins. She actually ended up picking a shade too deep, so let me know what to steer away from. Sandra actually picked the same shade that I picked, and I picked it because of her. So their videos really helped me out, so I will put their link down below. I always want to support other creators. So their videos help me pick. So if you're my shade twin, and I will put my foundation shades also in the description, so that can help you out to know if this video, my shade reference, is helpful. Look at their videos as well. So, you know, picking my shade, I picked what I assumed is the best, and I think in the end it holds true. Based on the videos, I came home, I swatched on my arm, I was like, I think it's not bad. Even the night before I was kind of nervous, so I was like, you know what, after I washed off all my face, I took a little, I took a little sample and I swatched it on my skin the night before, and I was like, nope, it looked good, so I was like, I'm good. So next morning before work, I'm like, yeah, excited, here we go. And I put it on, and I put the normal amount that I generally put. You know, a lot of times with me, this is me, a lot of times I am putting a pump and a half, 2 pumps of foundation. I did that, I put it on, and I was like, oh, I was looking at myself and I'm like, this is not the right shade. Something was really irking me. At first, I was like, is it too deep? Maybe it's slightly deep, but I was like, there's something else. And then I was like, oh my God, it looks olive. The undertone wasn't right. Oh, I was not a happy camper. I made it work, you know, did my whole concealer, bronzer, did my whole look. I made it work, but I wasn't a fan of how it looked. And I was really considering returning it, exchanging it, But I decided to give it a second chance. And then the second time I did it, I said, you know what? Let me, if I put maybe less product and I only use one pump for the whole face. And that worked. And I even used it today. And I know I'm wearing a turtleneck, but I think it's pretty good because I'm always trying to match my face to my neck. So what you're going to see, so since I don't have video the first time, but I do have pictures of what it looked like. So I will show you also pictures of what the foundation looked like. One that's just foundation only, and then my full glam look. The first time I used it I probably used 2 pumps. I don't know, it was a pump and a half or 2 pumps. And then you will see a demo of me doing it again with just 1 pump, much more successful. And then of course, I use it today. So after you watch all those pics, those demo videos, we'll come back and talk. Because it was probably good that I had waited because, like I said, I wasn't a happy camper after I first applied it. So now that I've done this 3 times, I've changed my technique, used different concealers and so forth, I'm much calmer. But I was ready to rant, and I'm still going to a little bit, okay? I'm going to just preface you, when we come back, I'm going to rant a little bit about the color shade. I'm really going to go in depth about all the colors from deep to light, about their shade range, their undertones, because I think this is a discussion that we really need to have. And unfortunately, Louboutin is going to catch strays and, it's going to be the example here. But what I'm about to say really honestly applies to most luxury brands, most beauty brands in general. I'm going to really break down not just about their shade choices, but their undertones and the distribution of those. I, of course, will still tell you about the formula of the foundation. I'm going to tell you my preference between the Prada and the Louboutin and everything like that. But just bear with me. There will be a portion of the video later in the day. It's probably going to get a little spicy. I'm going to rant a little bit. I'm going to really break down these shades, okay? So check out the pics, watch the demo videos, and then we got to talk. For real, for real. Guys, so I'm going to be applying the Louis Vuitton foundation today. This is actually not my first time. This will actually be my second time. The first time I did not apply it on camera. So the first thing you should know about this foundation, it is matte. So for all my fellow dry girls, make sure to prep your skin well. I've already used a hyaluronic acid serum and essence already, in addition to my face cream. I'm also going to use a Chanel hydrating primer. Any primer will do. I thought I'd just do this in camera, just especially for those who might have missed my Chanel video. This is in the deepest shade, like copper. As you can see, it just blends beautifully into my skin. So it's not like any crazy color to it, but it's hydrating. You can see my skin is glowing now just with that alone. So it smells nice, but not like overly fragrant. It's nothing that sticks on. So skin is prepped. All right. This is also highly fragrant. So this, you gotta love the packaging. This is number 60W. Now, I'm also gonna tell you, I don't think this is my shade, but I wanted to do this on camera when I talk about it. So let's do a pump. She's thick, right? So not liquidy or anything like that. But she will apply matte. I'm thinking maybe this time, I don't know if I put too much. Let me try to not put too much. I'm actually spreading this thinly this time because I feel like, especially if it's not the perfect match, maybe putting too much is too much. I just want to give it another chance. Maybe I was too rash in my decision. I just want to make sure before I return this, am I making too rash of a decision? I know there's a dot there, but hopefully you could see both sides. And, you know, I think I'm making a point. I'll do one side. I'm making a point, and I don't know if the first time I use it, I put too much. I'm making a point not to put much on. Now, it's medium coverage, so you're not going to get full coverage with this. So just be aware. So it's not a perfect match. And I feel like there's an olive tone to it, so that's the other thing, is the undertone. But depth-wise, it's not like way off. I think it was more of the undertone that was bothering me than the depth, because I'm a golden neutral. This is 60 warm, 60W. There is a 55 neutral warm, which I think that undertone would be perfect. The problem is that's too light. That shade, I've seen some swatches and it looks like my concealer shade, but not my foundation shade. All right, so, you know, I tried this time actually purposely to make sure not to put too much foundation, because then I think when you put too much, it makes it more evident how off the shade is. So I think, because I kind of held back on how much product, I only use one pump for my whole face. You know, a lot of times I might use a pump and a half or 2 pumps for my full face. I stuck it to just one pump for the whole face. And I think that kind of helped a little bit. It's, you know, it's still not the perfect match, but that kind of helps. And I think the other thing, you know, I'll need to do is kind of try to bring it down to my neck. 'Cause my whole thing is I want it to match my neck. I don't want to look like I have a floating head. I'll show you pictures of the first time I applied this on me and how it looked. So I have to say, I'm so happy that I waited and did this a second time. Used it a second time. Because if I had filmed the first time and you saw my reaction, it wouldn't have been good. And it just, you would have probably seen more. And I'll show you a picture how off it looked. I think with this product, especially at least just for me, I have to put a small amount. If I put too much, the undertone difference becomes more apparent, but if I just put a little bit, it's not stark. So it's actually looking pretty good. This is like pretty close to my shade, and like I know once I put the rest of my concealer and you know, bronzer, everything's gonna be fine. But when I used it the first time, I think I put too much and it just became super evident. Like it just, I don't know if it oxidized or what, but it looked dark and olive and I looked like I had a floating head. And so this I can work with. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is more workable. And I just wanted you to just be able to see the level of coverage just with the one pump. This is just with one pump. And, you know, it's not full coverage, so it is a true medium coverage. But that's fine. Because like I said, if I try to build this up, it's more obvious. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed those pics and those demo videos. I hope you could appreciate how it looked the first time I used it, how much more olive it looked, at least to me, in my opinion, compared to when I've used it now. It just seems with this foundation, a little bit goes a long way. I don't know. Does it oxidize or I don't know. I mean, I don't think oxidize is the right term in this case because when I use one pump, I'm good. There's just something, I think when I put more, the undertone differences become much more apparent. If I use less, it's not as prominent, so I can get away with it because I'm obviously able to make this work, but it's not my perfect match. And if you put too much, apparently, it becomes more apparent, the undertone issues, versus if I put a little bit, you won't even notice really. So with that being said, like I said, I'm going to talk about the formula. I really am. And in the end, I'm going to tell you, I actually do like the foundation, okay? So any negative talk that I'm going to talk about the shade range, I actually do like the foundation. And I'll give you my full opinion of the formula, but give me a moment to rant a little about these shadows, the shade range. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully I can pull this off. You know, it might be on this side. I'll try to put it on this side. But I'm going to try side by side to show you what the shade range looks like. You know, because the thing about it is, unfortunately right now in the US, it's not really available in stores to pick up so that you can swatch. So you have to buy online. Like I said, I'm going to have over here what it looks like. A lot of times I'm going to be looking down because I'm looking at my phone and I'm looking at what you should be seeing on the screen, okay? So the first thing is, and this is something I didn't have a problem with, but I feel like some people did. They did all the swatches on legs. Actually, I think that was genius. You know, what is Louboutin famous for? Their shoes. And with there's so many brands out, here you are coming out with foundation. How do you make yourself stand out? Do swatches on the legs. Do something that nobody else has done. I think that's cool to me. And what do I care if you swatch on the leg, on the chest, on the neck, on the face? I just need to see what the foundations look like. Now, one issue I do have when you're trying to make a decision online is, so you're seeing these swatches on the legs, but then, you know, they'll have this kind of just swatch on its own out of the bottle. And if you compare, I'm going to show you 60W, the swatch that they have, like a singular swatch of the 60W, looks so much lighter than what they have swatched on the leg. So which one am I supposed to use as I'm trying to pick my shade, right? But for the purposes of what we're gonna do, we're gonna use the leg swatches, okay? Now, like I said, give me a minute. I want to go through these shades, okay? I'm gonna start from the deepest shade and I'm gonna work my way to the lightest. So let's take a closer look at these deep shades. All right, so with the deep shade, starting at the top, okay, we have ADN. So they have, you know, a fairly deep shade, but as you can see, it has one undertone option, neutral. So it can't be warm, can't be cool. You better be neutral because that's all you get. Now, if you are the shade Depth 75, you get two choices. You get warm and neutral, cool. But now 70 and 60, we're back to getting only one undertone and it's just warm. So forget neutral, forget cool. You're only allowed to be warm if you are 70 or 60 in terms of depth shade. 55, you get two choices. There's a neutral warm and a neutral. So I'm gonna break away real quick just to tell you, like when I was trying to decide my shade, depth wise, I do feel like 60 is my depth. But like I'm a golden neutral. So like 55 NW, that sounded like great in terms of undertone. And when the first time I tried it and I was thinking about exchanging, I was actually really considering to switch to exchange it for 55 NW. I was lucky enough to, it was good that I did this, but I watched another beauty content creator who I love, who I'm also going to shout out, and her link will be in the description box, Mo Beauty. She actually bought 3 shades. As you can see, she swatched it on her face. The lightest shade is 55 NW, the middle shade is 60W, and then the last shade, the deepest shade is 70W. And so, although the neutral warm undertone would be perfect, that shade is her perfect shade. It's a great shade match for her, but that's too light for me. That would basically be my concealer shade. And although I don't mind going a little bit deeper with a foundation, I don't like to go lighter. So I was like, oh no, that's gonna be too light. The 70W, I feel like that probably would look too orange on me. I didn't want to go the Oompa Loompa route. So then I'm just stuck back to the 60W. But I do want to reference her because her video was very valuable. Her going out of her way buying those 3 shades. And then, I don't know if she already gave it away already, but she also was giving away the 2 deepest shades, which is really kind of her. On a side note, she is the queen of Tom Ford. Probably half my purchases are due to her. So if you love Tom Ford beauty, please follow her. She has an amazing Tom Ford collection. All right, let's get back to the shades. So we got to 55. Now 50 has two options, warm and cool. We're gonna switch legs now to the middle medium shades. 45, you only get one undertone, and 40, you get three undertones to choose from. So you get warm, warm olive, and warm olive, warm olive, and neutral. That is wonderful. If you are 35, you also get three options to choose from: warm, neutral olive, and cool. If you're 30, you get two options: warm, neutral, cool. And if you're 25, you get two options: neutral, warm, and cool. So these middle shades, a lot of them are getting two or three options. It's nice that they're offering olive tones. So you see where we're going, right? Now let's go to the fair leg, the lightest shade. 20, you get three options: warm, neutral, cool. 15, three option: warm, neutral, warm, cool. 10, you get three options: warm, neutral, cool. If you are the lightest shade, 0, you only get one option, and that is N. So I don't know if you've been paying attention, but let me tell you, let me break this down. So let's break this down. So essentially, and I'm generalizing, there is definitely some exceptions to this rule, but this is a generalization of what I'm seeing in the different shade ranges, okay? And I wrote this down for myself. For the lighter shades, so you have depth shade 10, 15, 20, 35, 40, they get three undertones to choose from. The more middle shades, so 25, and some of these are deeper shades. I'm just gonna break them all down. So if your shades 20 depth shade, 25, 30, 50, 55, 75, you get two undertones to choose from. And then the palest, the darkest, you only get one undertone to choose from. So if you're 0, 45, 60, 70, and 80, you only get one undertone. Generally speaking, if you're fair tone, yes, if you are the palest shade, shade range 0, you only get one undertone. But all the other undertones, like 15, 10, 15, 20, 25, you get three undertones. So the majority of the fair depth shades get three undertones. One of them you'll get two undertones, one of them you'll get one undertone, but the majority you get three undertones. Now, if you're more of the medium shades, I would say it looks about like half of you will get three undertones to choose from and half of you will get about two undertones to choose from. Generalization, but that's what I'm essentially seeing. But if you are a medium, deep, dark skin tone, for the majority of us, we get one undertone to choose from, and if you're lucky, you get two. But that's it. Nobody gets to get three undertones to choose from. And that is the issue. When Fenty came out with her 40 shades, I know she's not the first one. I know MAC and so many other brands came out with more shades than she had. She's not the first one to do 40 shades. The reason why it was such a big deal when she came out is because her whole marketing was all about the 40 shades. That basically she was declaring like the standard needs to be 40. And it's okay. And even with hers, I know there were still some people that didn't find their shade. She had to even expand after that. She probably went to like 45. Louboutin, I think I counted, has 30 shades, okay? And probably a lot of luxury brands do that, about 30 shades. And if you look at those three legs, you're going to be like, 10 fair skin, 10 middle shades, 10 deep shades. That's what most people are going to look at. Oh, yeah, it's even. It might not be 40, but it's even. Not really. Number one, if you move some things over, even though you put it on the deeper legs, some of those were really medium shades. But even more importantly, don't look at just how many deep, dark, just because you put one deep shade does not make that equal. The distribution of the undertones are not equal. The majority of fair skin shades get three undertones to choose from. Medium shades, 50-50 between three undertones and two undertones to choose from. And even, I actually appreciate you know, that medium tones, you know, that they put olive shade, because I know if you have an olive undertone, it's not easy to find your shade. So it's great that it looks like, from what I could tell, that they're catering to that as well. But for all of us who are around my skin tone, if you are a medium, deep dark, for the most part, like, you only get 1 or 2 undertones to choose from. Like, we don't come in 3 undertones. We would benefit from getting to choose from warm, neutral, cool. To only say only warm or only neutral, that is what is unfair and unnerving about this. You know, that shade, I would, in my depth, I would love to have a golden neutral shade, and I couldn't. I've made this work. Like today, I think this look worked really well, not only because I only use 1 pump, but I use a Dior concealer that is in neutral shades, because Dior actually is really good at neutral. I have a neutral undertone. So that's why probably for Dior it has one of my favorite bronzers, concealers, and foundations, because I can get neutral undertones. Now, that might not work for other people who are neutral undertones, but just to point that out. So that is that's a big issue. And this is not just Louboutin's issue. This is across all luxury brands and most beauty brands in general. Doing 30 shades or less, people are getting missed. And generally speaking, even if it looks like it's an even distribution between light, medium, and deep, most of the times, if you really scrutinize and look at undertones, it is not equally distributed. You know, I mean, there are some brands that are more blatant, like, you know, especially if you get like cushion shades, you might only have like 10 shades and none of them are deep. So I get it. You gave us some deep tones, but you're not giving us the opportunity to have different undertones. And if you have the wrong undertone, it won't look right. You know, you're trying to match your face to your neck. You can look like you have a floating head, and it's not cute. It's not cute. And so that kind of irked me. I'm sorry I'm like going off on a rant, but it's just something I just had to get off my chest because it just irked me. But okay, I'm done on my soapbox, okay? So I made this work, and actually in the end, I think it looks fine. So let's talk about the formulation. I've alluded to this. This is a matte foundation. Now, know that I'm coming from a place that my skin is dry. I'm normal to dry. So for me, I would consider this a true matte foundation, okay? And I don't even have a problem with that because, believe it or not, I actually do like to wear matte foundations, particularly at work. I love to wear matte foundation. So it's not that I have any issues as a dry skin girl to wear matte. I just know, prep my skin well, and I'll be good. And it felt comfortable. This feels comfortable on me. Even at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it was too drying on me. It held up really well. So I work long work days. It held all day long. 12 hours later, I still felt like I looked good. And I think especially, you know, I'm just a dry skin girl, so I don't know. But I have a feeling if you're an oily skin girl, you are going to really like this foundation. You know, my current favorite matte foundation that I use has been Tom Ford's Soft Matte foundation. I think personal preference-wise, I do like the Tom Ford a little bit better. I think I do prefer a soft matte rather than a matte, but I'm not matte. I'm loving it. Like, I'm being really hypercritical now. And like I said, I'm a dry skin girl. So I think, you know, for that reason, I probably prefer a little bit to be more of a soft matte rather than being a matte. Talking about the new Prada foundation, I've already reviewed that. You should already, you can watch that video if you haven't already, please do. So that one is being hailed as a soft matte. I'd agree, or I'd even say natural look. It looks very natural, so I don't think it looks super matte. At best, soft matte, and I would even say a natural finish. So, you know, I actually love that. The other thing about this in terms of coverage, this is a true medium coverage. Like I said, attempts to build it up, especially did not work out shade wise, but I really think this is a true medium coverage foundation. The Prada, you can build that up to a full. You can get much better coverage with the Prada. So just for my personal preferences, I prefer the Prada foundation because I like that it has more of a natural finish, but it's still long wearing, long lasting, and it provides more coverage than the Louboutin. But I still love it. I'm gonna keep it. And I think especially if you are an oily skin girl or boy, I think you're gonna especially love this. You might love it more than Prada. Because I have dry skin, you know, I lean more towards the Prada, but I think it is a solid formula. Packaging is A+ in my opinion. So if you can find your shade and the right undertone, then I think it's worth it. Hopefully they'll expand. I just always hate that we're always the afterthought. It's always, you know, because that's what they'll say. I know it's going to be like, don't worry, we'll come out with more shades. But why from the beginning fair tones automatically get 3 undertones and I am regulated to 1 undertone, and I have to wait, and hopefully it's successful with fair skin individuals that then you'll expand to me. But anyway, I know, I'm ranting again. I'm going to stop. All right. So is it a good formula? Yes. So if you can find your shade range, then I'm saying go for it. I know she ain't cheap, but you know what? She makes it up with the packaging. It's worth it in my opinion. All right. That is the end of the video. I promise. So, you know, oh, and if you're curious about the rest of my makeup, particularly my eye makeup, I've incorporated in this look the new Chanel eyeshadow. I do have some other eyeshadows mixed in to provide some depth. There's a reason for that. But you got to watch that video to get the tea on that. So please watch that. That should be coming out soon to know what's the deal with the Chanel. I got it on the nails, got it on the eyes. But yeah, but that is the end of this video. So please, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do, Daps_makeup. That is where I'm most active. I post swatches and pics even prior to my videos there. So you would have already seen all this on Instagram if you're following. And then, yeah, the next time come back and I'll show you what next that comes to my collection. Until then, bye.